The sun rose behind the tall glass towers, casting golden light across the city as Michael walked through the main gate of the company building holding his daughter Emma's small hand. His faded gray uniform hung neatly on his shoulders and his shoes, though old, were polished until they shone faintly. It was just another work day for him, but today he had no one to watch his daughter. The neighbor who usually cared for Emma had fallen. Sick and missing work was not an option. So with a quiet prayer, he decided to bring her along, hoping no one would mind. Inside the grand lobby, everything looked spotless. The marble floor reflected the light. From the high chandeliers, the air filled with the sound of hurried footsteps and distant elevator chimes. Employees in fine suits rushed past, carrying laptops and coffee cups, hardly noticing the janitor and his child. Michael gave a small nod of greeting to the security guard, then whispered to Emma to stay close and quiet while he worked. She nodded, clutching her worn school bag, and watched her father set down his mop and bucket near the far wall. As he began sweeping the lobby, she sat beside the mop cart on the floor, pulling out a stub of pencil and a small piece of cardboard. Her fingers moved carefully, sketching the outlines of a tall building with windows shining bright. Some employees noticed her, but only smiled politely before moving on. One woman frowned slightly and muttered that it was no place for a child. Michael's heart tightened, but he kept his head down, working silently. Moments later, the elevator doors slid open and a tall woman stepped out wearing a navy blue suit and quiet confidence. Her heels clicked softly against the floor as every head turned in greeting. It was Clara Bennett, the CEO of the company. Her sharp eyes swept across the hall before stopping on the small figure by the bucket. She walked closer, kneeling down in front of Emma, who looked up startled. Clara asked gently what she was drawing. Emma lifted the cardboard, showing her picture of a tall building, and said in a shy voice that one day she wanted to build one like this so her father wouldn't have to clean it. The CEO's expression softened, and for a moment the entire lobby fell silent as Michael froze, gripping his mop, afraid of what would come next. The next morning began like any other, but there was a strange, quiet excitement in the air. When Michael entered the lobby with his mop and bucket, people looked at him differently. Some smiled awkwardly, others whispered as if they knew something he didn't. He tried to ignore it, thinking maybe they were gossiping about what had happened the previous day when the CEO had seen Emma. He had barely slept all night, worrying that he might lose his job for breaking the rules by bringing his daughter to work. He was about to start cleaning when the announcement speaker crackled and called his name, asking him to come to the main hall. His stomach twisted. Holding Emma's hand, he walked nervously toward the gathered crowd of employees. Standing on the small stage was Clara Bennett, the CEO, calm and elegant as always. The room fell silent as she looked at him and smiled gently. She thanked everyone for gathering and said she wanted to share something that had touched her heart deeply. She told them about how she had met Emma the day before, sitting quietly by her father's side, drawing her dreams on a piece of cardboard. Clara said that moment reminded her of her own childhood and of how every big dream begins small. Her voice grew softer as she spoke of dignity and how true greatness is not found in power or money, but in the honesty of hard work and love. The workers listened closely, their eyes moving from her to Michael, standing shyly beside Emma. Then Clara announced something unexpected. She declared the creation of a new program for the company called the Emma Bennett Scholarship Fund, which would help the children of employees go to school and chase their dreams. The first recipient, she said, would be little Emma. The room filled with applause, though many tried to wipe their eyes. Michael stood frozen, unable to speak. Clara stepped forward, shaking his hand and telling him he had raised a remarkable daughter. Emma smiled shyly, clutching her cardboard drawing. As they left the hall together, Michael felt tears gather in his eyes. For the first time in his life, he felt seen, respected, and proud. The mop in his hand no longer felt heavy. His daughter's dream had changed both their worlds forever.